In the last lesson, we looked at what defines political parties and independent candidates. But now, let's take it a step further and unpack the important distinction between opposition parties and governing parties. The term opposition party is a familiar one to most South Africans, but how does a political party earn that title? An opposition party can be any political party or parties that do not form part of the government, but do hold seats in a legislative body, such as Parliament. The primary role of opposition parties is to act as a counterbalance to the political party or parties that are in government. So, these are the parties that secured enough support to have seats in Parliament. Their presence is important for various reasons, from holding the governing party or parties to account, to creating opportunities for broad representation and participation in the National Assembly. Opposition parties play their part in democracy by working with other parties in the legislature to ensure effective oversight through identifying missteps and failures of the governing party or parties, by representing the concerns and interests of their voters with the intention to translate these interests into tangible laws and policies, by contributing to making policy and legislation through constructive criticism, by opposing government proposals they disagree with and seeking amendments to bills where possible, presenting their own policies to demonstrate their ability to lead, which can help them win more support come election time, encouraging debate around political issues and policies that impact society, such as the national budget and the annual State of the Nation address, helping to ensure government remains accountable and, critically, helping to strengthen democracy. Now, let's shift our focus to governing parties. In the South African context, the term governing party refers to the political party or the group of parties that secures a majority of the seats in Parliament. That's 50% of the seats plus one, which is 201 seats. They do this either by winning those seats outright or by forming a coalition government of two or more political parties. With this majority, governing parties assume the responsibility for implementing policies and making decisions until the next elections. We will talk more about coalition governments in Course 15. What role do governing parties play in the political landscape? As we discovered in Course number 2, governing parties are responsible for forming a government, with their leader usually becoming the president. This grants them executive power, which allows them to implement policies that affect the way that the country is run. However, the implementation of these policies falls under the operations of the state. But what do we mean when we refer to the state? The state represents the institutional framework of government, the actual mechanism responsible for making laws, delivering public services, and upholding the Constitution. In South Africa, the state falls under 3 organs. That is the legislature, which includes Parliament, provincial legislatures, and local councils. They are responsible for making laws and for monitoring the executive. The executive, which includes the president, deputy president, and ministers. They are responsible for making policies and implementing laws passed by the legislature. And the judiciary. The judiciary includes the Constitutional Court and all other courts in the country, which are responsible for interpreting and applying the law, including the Constitution, and also ensuring that the other 2 organs of the state comply with the law. The most important thing to understand is that the state operates independently of any political party. Okay, so we have the governing party and the state, and the 2 are separate. But what else are the key differences between the 2? While the governing party influences the state through its policies, the state operates independently of political parties, upholding the Constitution and serving the entire nation's interests. So think of the state as the set of permanent institutions that keep the country running. The governing party is the political organization that occupies positions within that structure, executing its power within the state. Lastly, an important thing to remember, while the governing party can influence the direction and the priorities of the state through policy and action, it does not control the state entirely. That is thanks to legal and constitutional boundaries. This is usually called the division between party and state.